We are going to discuss about beam. In the beam, the force is acting perpendicular to the axis. Perpendicular to the axis. See, you can see this diagram. In this diagram, here there is a motor, and motor and this gear are connected with one shaft. One shaft. This motor and the gears are connected to the shaft, and these two gears are in mesh. Here we have a threaded shaft, and here we have a nut. Over the nut there is a table. Over the nut there is a table. When the motor is rotated, this gear will rotate and this gear will rotate. Since this is bolt and nut mechanism, when this bolt is rotating, this nut will be reciprocating. It will be reciprocating and the table will be reciprocating. The objective of this mechanism is to convert the rotary motion into reciprocatory motion. So the rotary motion of the motor is transmitted to gears, and then it is using the bolt and nut mechanism, it is reciprocating. Here you can see two members. This member as well as this member, this shaft as well as this shaft, both are beams, because here the loads are acting in the vertical direction. Axis is, this is the axis of the shaft. This shaft also axis is like this. The loads are acting in the vertical direction. That is lateral direction. We can call it as a lateral direction. So when the forces are acting lateral to the axis, perpendicular to the axis, right angle to the axis, then the structure is called beam. The structure is called beam. Right? Now you can see some examples where beams are used. See here shaft. See, they are supported by, here one turbine is there, here one compressor is there. Now the loads are acting in the vertical direction, so it is a beam. It is a beam. Similarly, here this shaft also is a motor. This is a pump. This mechanism is used to pump water from the well to the tank, overhead tank. So when the motor is rotating, the pump rotates. Pump is means the inside impeller is there, rotates. It creates vacuum. So the water from the well is sucked in and it is pushed to the tank, overhead tank. So in this mechanism, the shaft is rotating. In the same time, the vertical force is acting. Vertical forces are acting. So it is a beam. Similarly, here you see the windmill. In the windmill, these are all the blade, and then brake, then gearbox, then generator. So all are supported on a shaft. All are supported on a shaft. So this is a beam. So similarly, whenever a body is subjected to a vertical load, it is a beam. It is a beam. So the now let us see the classification of beam. One is cantilever beam. Another one is simply supported, overhanging beam, fixed beam, and continuous beam. And continuous beam. There are three types of beams. Now see the beams one by one. See, these are all cantilever beam. Cantilever beam means a beam is fixed at one end. Other end is free. One end is fixed. Now you can see this crane. In this crane, if you consider this is a beam, this is supported this is supported by the column. So here one end is fixed, other end is fixed, and loads are acting. So S-type chair. If you fix this end is fixed and this is overhanging. So this is a cantilever beam. Similarly, another crane. So these are all example for cantilever beam, right? This is simply supported beam or freely supported beam. Here one support is there, here another support is there. It is just like a bearing support. A shaft with two bearings is a simply supported beam. See here example. Here one bearing and shaft. So this is subjected to vertical loads and then it is simply supported. Now you can see fixed beam. There is no much difference between the simply supported beam and fixed beam. In simply supported beam, it is just supported, that is bearing support. But in case of a fixed beam, the end is fitted into the wall. It is fixed. It is fixed. Both ends are fixed. So this is beam. So as far as look wise, both simply separated beam as well as fixed beam are looks like same, but technically it is both are different. Now you can see the this is simply supported beam, and this is fixed into the wall. Here it is supported by bearing. This is continuous beam. When the number of supports are more than two, when the number of supports are more than two, then it is called continuous beam. A bridge with the number of supports is an example for continuous beam. This is overhanging beam. It is just like a simply supported beam only, but one side is overhanging. But in case of simply supported beam, both ends are supported. Both ends are supported. Here, one support is inside the end. So here, some portion is overhanging. So it is overhanging beam. See here, you can see a overhanging beam, a stone supported at this point and this point. Here it is overhanging. You can see this also. This also a overhanging beam. Now types of load. This is point load. When the load is concentrated at a one single point, that is known as point load. Now you can see this is uniformly distributed load. Load is distributed across the length, but it is uniform. But it is uniform. This is uniformly distributed load. So we can say the load due to its own weight of the beam is a uniformly distributed load. It is a uniformly distributed load. This is uniformly varying load. One end it is minimum or zero, other end is it is maximum. It is gradually increasing. So this is uniformly varying load. Uniformly varying load. So we have seen some 5 different types of beams. One is simply supported beam. Another one is cantilever beam, fixed beam, overhanging beam, continuous beam. Out of which we are going to study only 3: cantilever beam, simply supported beam, and overhanging beam. About the load, all the 3 loads we are going to study. That is point load, uniformly distributed load, uniformly varying load. So 3 beams, 3 loading conditions. Any combination may be asked in the exam. Now our objective is to find the shear force and bending moment in the beam. So for different types of beam, what is the shear force and bending moment? Bending moment is force into distance. Force into distance. Shear force is the force which is shearing the beam. Shear force, and bending moment is force into distance. We will discuss detailedly. The sign conversion to be taken for bending moment and shear force. This is for shear force. Always, if you want to calculate the force, we have to consider. If you want to calculate the shear force at this axis, either you consider right side or left side. Any one of the side you have to consider. If you consider right side, downward you take positive, upward you take left side, upward you take positive. But in negative means it is just opposite. Right side upward, left side downward. So this is a sign conversion we are going to use throughout the subject in this unit. You can follow opposite also, no, nothing wrong, but you have to maintain the same for all problems. Similarly, bending moment. Bending moment, if you want to, this is a beam. If you want to calculate the bending moment at this location, then you consider either left side or right side. If you consider right side, you take the clockwise bending, counterclockwise bending moment is positive. Counterclockwise is positive, and left side is clockwise is positive. Here, just opposite. Right side clockwise is positive, left side counterclockwise is positive. Now you consider this beam. This is right side counterclockwise, left side clockwise. So if it acts like that, it bends the beam like that. It bends the beam like that. This is known as sagging. This is known as sagging. The moment which creates the sagging is known as sagging bending moment. Sagging bending moment. Similarly, when you apply the bending moment like this, it will be hogging. It will be hogging. Then the moment is known as hogging bending moment. So this is concave. This is concave. Concave means sagging. That is sagging bending moment. If it is convex shape, that is hogging bending moment. That is taken as negative. That is taken as negative. Positive means sagging bending moment, and it is concave. Concave in shape. So this you have to remember. Actually, what kind of bending moment is acting, that if you want to find uh, whether it is sagging or hugging or positive or negative, only you can identify. Now we are considering two beams. This is one beam. This is subject to a sagging bending moment. Sagging bending moment, that is concave. Concave bending, concave, it is concave and sagging bending moment. This is convex and hugging bending moment. This is positive, this is negative. So when the bending moment is acting like this, when the beam is sagging, what will happen is, um, this is known as centroidal axis, or you can if you draw a axis through centroidal, that is known as neutral axis. That is known as neutral axis. This is the front view and this is side view. This is a neutral axis. Actually, why it is called a neutral axis now? When it is subjected to bending, the neutral axis will not be subjected to any elongation, no strain, no stress across the neutral axis. In the neutral axis, no strain, no elongation, no stress. If you see above the neutral axis, it will be subjected to compressive because the length is reducing. But below the neutral axis, it is subjected to tensile. See, you can see the symbol is given. It is tensile. This is compressive. At the center, it is zero. At center, no stress. As we go away from the center, the compressive stress is slowly increasing. At the surface, it will be maximum. At the surface, it will be maximum. In the same way, if you come below the neutral axis, the tensile stress will increase slowly. Similarly, hugging bending moment. Similarly, hugging bending moment. In case of hugging bending moment, the beam is bending like that. This is negative and this is convex. If it is convex, the neutral axis is, this is a neutral axis. Above the neutral axis, tension. Here it is compression. Here it is above the neutral axis is tension. Below the neutral axis is compressive. It is compressive. At the neutral axis, the elongation is zero, strain is zero, and stress is zero. If you go away from that, the tensile stress is slowly increasing. At the neutral axis, it is zero, and it keeps increasing up to the extreme fiber. At the extreme fiber, it is maximum. It is linearly proportional to distance. Similarly, in the downward direction, it is compressive. Slowly, it is increasing. It will be maximum at the surface. So always we are interested in calculating the maximum stress. So at the top surface, it will be subjected to maximum tensile stress. Bottom will be maximum compressive. So we got to find only at the surface, only at the extreme fibers. Here it is at the top surface is compressive, bottom surface is tensile. Here top surface is tensile, bottom surface is compressive. At the neutral axis, no stress. Now we are going to derive the expression for bending stress. Now we are going to derive a small derivation. We are going to see the derivation for bending moment. For that, some assumptions are made. For that, assumptions are made. What are the assumptions? The beam is initially straight and unstressed. The beam is straight and unstressed before the load is applied. Before the bending moment is applied, it is straight and unstressed. There is no stress. The material is homogeneous. The material is homogeneous. That means that elastic properties, that is Young's modulus and density, are uniform at all points, all directions, x direction, y direction, z direction. In all directions and all position, the material property are same. Material properties are same. So it is called homogeneous. Another thing is, Young's modulus for material is same in tension and compressive. Tension and compressive. What is Young's modulus? Stress by strain. Either you can take tensile stress by tensile strain or compressive stress by compressive strain. Here in this problem, one portion is subjected to compression and another portion is subjected to tensile. In such cases, you will get two Young's modulus. One is compressive stress by compressive strain, another one is tensile stress by tensile strain. So both compressive and tensile, the Young's modulus is same. That assumption also made. Finally, the plane cross section remain, the section remain plane before even after application of bending moment. What is the meaning is, what is the meaning is, now you consider a beam. Let us take BD is a plane. BD is a plane. This is before applying the load. Before applying the load, BD. After applying the load, also this is BD. This is BD. This is vertical. This is inclined. But this remains plane after the application of load also. BD is a plane. The plane. This is plane even after the application of bending moment. So that's what uh, the final condition. Final. The plane remain plane after the application of load. So that is a fourth boundary condition, boundary assumption. These are all assumption made in theory of bending. Now a small derivation. Now a small derivation. Now say this is a beam before bending moment is applied. After bending moment is applied, it bends like this. It bends like this, right? Now we are taking two axes. We are taking two axes. What are all the axes? One is EF. You assume that EF is a neutral axis. EF is a neutral axis. What is EF? Neutral axis. Neutral axis. GH is a axis which is taken at a distance of y. At a distance of y. What is the distance between the new plane and the neutral axis? New axis and neutral axis, that is y. It is at a distance of y. Now apply the bending moment. Apply the bending moment. Apply the bending moment. What type of bending moment? It is positive bending moment. You applied the positive bending moment. So it is a sagging, concave, right? Now here I am going to write the equation for strain. I am going to write the equation for strain. What is strain? Change in length by original length. Change in length by original length. Original length, that is a strain. Now GH is a axis. This is the original length. After bending moment is applied, it is G dash H dash. G dash H dash. Then what is the change in length? G dash H dash minus GH. GH is the original length. After bending moment is applied, it is elongated G dash H dash. This is, so the change in length is that. What is the original length? GH. GH. Right? Now you come to this figure. I am taking this radius. This is a neutral axis. E dash F dash is a neutral axis. The radius is neutral axis is at the radius of R. Radius is R. What is the distance between the neutral axis and the new the axis GH? It is Y. It is Y. Now I am going to write G dash H dash. I am going to write G dash H dash in terms of phi. In terms of phi. How to write? The radius is R, curvature is R, and angle is phi. So I can write R into phi plus Y. R plus Y into phi. Right? R plus Y. Because G dash H dash. G dash H dash is, this is R. This is R. This is Y. This is Y. So R plus Y. R plus Y into phi will give the G dash H dash. How to find GH? I want to find the GH. GH and EF are same. Am I right? Before bending moment is applied, GH is equal to EF. Because the line AC and BD are parallel. BD are parallel before load is applied. So this is equal. But after application of the bending moment, EF is equal to E dash F dash. Am I right? Because EF is, what is EF? EF is a neutral axis. EF is a neutral axis. So in case of neutral axis, when bending moment is applied, no elongation, no stress, no strain. There is no elongation. So EF is equal to E dash F dash. Right? Now GH is equal to EF. EF is equal to E dash F dash. So E dash F dash is equal to GH. EF does, I want to find GH, But for that I'm going to substitute in terms of E dash F dash. How to find E dash F dash? In this diagram it is R into phi. R into phi divided by R into phi. In this equation, R phi plus y into phi minus R phi divided by R phi. We cancel this and this. Phi phi y by R. Y by R. That is strain. What is the equation for strain? Stress by Young's modulus. That is sigma. Stress by Young's modulus is equal to what? Y by R. Y by, we have taken capital R. Capital R. Y by capital R. So this is one derivation. Another small derivation is, so using this I am going to derive another derivation. What is another derivation? I am interested to find moment. What is moment? Moment is equal to force into distance. I want to find moment with respect to this axis. This is a beam, it's a side wheel, this is a neutral axis. About the neutral axis, I want to find a bending moment for a small elemental area delta A. What is moment? Force into distance. I need to calculate force at the elemental area and the distance y. So that will give the moment. So how to find the force? Stress into area is a force. How to find the stress? We can find the stress value from this equation. Already we have a equation. In this, sigma is a stress is equal to E by R into Y. E by R into Y. This is a stress value. Now I am calculating moment. Moment is equal to stress into area. What is stress? E by R into Y. E by R into Y into area delta A. This is area. Now this will become a force. Force into distance. Distance is equal to Y. So this is a moment. Moment for the small elemental area. I want to calculate for throughout the length. So what you have to do? I have to integrate it. Now you take E and R outside. Now y square into delta A. What is y square into delta A? This is M, bending moment. What is integral of y square into delta A? This is equal to I. You must have studied in engineering mechanics. So now M by I is equal to E by R. This is one relation. You have one more relation. This relation also you can write in terms of E by R. That is sigma by Y is equal to E by R. Now you can write, if you combine these two equations, you can write M by I is equal to sigma by Y is equal to E by R. This equation is known as bending equation. This equation is known as bending equation. If you are asked to derive the bending equation, you have to do this. Now you can see a derivation is given in the PPT. So this is a equation. M by I is equal to sigma by Y is equal to E by R. Suppose a cantilever beam with a load is given. This is a cross section. Right? In the cross section, this is B. Let us take this is D or H, whatever it may be. This is a beam. When you see from the, this is a side view. It's a cross section of the beam. Width is B and depth is D or H, whatever it may be you take. Right? It's a beam. Now, if you want to calculate stress in the beam, we are interested in the maximum stress. Which point will be subject to maximum stress in this beam? At that point, you have to find the bending stress. here in case of cantilever beam, this will be subjected to maximum bending moment. This will be subjected to maximum fixed end will be subjected to maximum bending moment. Now you take this scale, you hold here. It is a fixed beam. When you apply the load here, where the failure may occur, this point will be subjected to maximum bending moment. This point will be subjected to maximum bending moment. And how to calculate P into L? P into L. If you put P into L, if you put P into L, that is bending moment. What is I? We already cross section is given. B dq by 12. B dq by 12 is a I. And what is Y? Y is already we have seen. Already we have seen what is Y. Y is neutral axis. Neutral axis will be at the center. Neutral axis will be at the center of gravity, at the center. We want to find the bending moment at the extreme fiber. We want to calculate the bending moment at the extreme fiber, right? Extreme fiber at the surface. Then what will be the Y value? If the depth is equal to D, neutral axis to extreme fiber, that is D by 2. D by 2. That will be the value of Y. You substitute the value, you can find the sigma value, stress. You can find the sigma value. Now, in the we have seen in the when a body is subjected to axial load, stress is equal to load by area. Stress is equal to load by area, right? Stress is equal to load by area. Load P by A. So this is equal to sigma when it is subjected to axial load. When load increases, sigma will increases. When load increases, sigma will decreases. So sigma is directly proportional to P. Sigma is inversely proportional to A. This is in case of axial. When it is bending, what is sigma? If you take only these two terms, only you take these two terms, then sigma is equal to m by I into y. M by I into y. So sigma is directly proportional to m. Where it is directly proportional to load, here we are using a equivalent term m. Here instead of area you are using I. It is inversely proportional to y and multiplied by that value y. Now it means this is a neutral axis. Always the stress will be maximum at the surface, because at the neutral axis stress is equal to 0. As distance increases, the value will be slowly increasing. It will be maximum at this point. So if this is D, then the value y is equal to D by 2. What is y? Is a distance between extreme fiber and neutral axis. Neutral axis, that is y, is equal to D by 2. If the dimension is given, you can substitute the value of y here. What is I? If you know the cross section, rectangular cross section or circular cross section, what it might be. If it is circular, what is the value of I? Pi d power 4 by 64. If it is rectangular cross section, what is the value of this is b dq by 12 I. M value you have to find. So here in this, important thing is how to find the value of m and how to find the value of I. These two are important. Now I am going to explain you one thing. What is that? You take the scale. If you keep like this and if you apply a load here, it is axial load. In that case, the beam will be subjected throughout the beam. It will be subjected to same stress. You take any point across the cross section, across the length, across the width, or across the thickness. Wherever you find the dimension, any point, the stress will be constant. So we don't know when load is applied where the failure will take place. But if you keep the same beam, the same member horizontally and apply the load, you apply the load. So here you apply the load, we can say that failure will take place at the support. If load alone is a factor, we cannot say that where the failure may occur at any place. But since here, so the load alone is not a factor. When load is applied, the bending moment is maximum at the support. So bending stress is maximum at the support. That is what the failure takes place at the support. So here the in case of bending, load alone is not a factor. Here it is a moment, force into distance, force into distance. If you find the bending moment if you want to find bending moment at this point, load multiplied by this distance you put. This will be one value. If you want to bending moment at this point, you put this load into this distance you put. If you want to find bending moment at this point, load into this distance. So if you find the bending moment at this point, this will be maximum. So stress will be maximum at the support. Maximum at the support. Right? This is one point. Another point is, if you keep the scale like this, when you apply the load, the deflection is more. Same load. And you keep the scale like this, now the deflection is not too much. Cross section area remains same. When you keep like this or like this, whatever it may be, the cross section area is same. But when you keep like this, it bends more. When you keep like this, it is not bending. Why? If area alone is the deciding factor, in case of axial, area alone is the factor for stress. Area and load only. But if you keep like this, area is not a main factor. Where bending moment of inertia. If you keep like this, moment of inertia will be less. If you keep like this, moment of inertia will be more. How? Now we can see. You take the scale like this. Scale is horizontal. Scale is horizontal. Then scale is like this. Load is applied. The side will be like this. The cross section will be like this. Cross section is like this. Now, in this problem, this is B. This is D. Right? Let us take B is equal to 2. D is equal to 1. D is equal to 1. How to find what is B, what is D? Always the load is acting in vertical direction. Vertical direction. That is acting in this direction. Now you take the axis perpendicular to this. We have to find the axis perpendicular to this. Is we are interested in calculating the moment of inertia about this axis. It's a cross section. It's a cross section. Now the dimension parallel to the axis is known as B. Parallel to the axis is known as B. Perpendicular to the axis is known as D. Perpendicular to the axis is known as D. Similarly, the same scale is kept like this. Is kept like this and load is applied. In such case, the cross section will be like this. Cross section will be like this. Now this is B. Always here the load is acting like this. So this is a neutral axis. About the neutral axis, you got to find the moment of inertia. Now this is B and this is D. Here B is equal to 1, D is equal to 2. Because we are initially we kept it horizontal. Here we are doing rotating by 90 degree. Now in this case, I is equal to, here B is equal to 2, D is equal to 1. D is equal to 1. 1 cube divided by 12. How much it is? 2 into 1 cube by 12. So it is 2 by 12. 2 by 12. This is a moment of inertia. But here it is I is equal to B is equal to 1. D is equal to 2. 2 cube by 12. So how much it is? 2 cube is 8. 8 by 12. 8 by 12. So if you keep the scale like this, moment of inertia is 2 by 12. If you keep the scale like this, the moment of inertia is 8 by 12. 8 by 12. So we already in the equation, we have sigma is equal to what? Sigma is equal to moment divided by I into Y. So M increases, sigma will increase. As I increases, sigma will decrease. So it is giving more resistance. If you keep the beam scale like this and you apply the load, it is giving more resistance. So it is not bending because moment of inertia is more. If you keep the scale like this, when apply the load, moment of inertia is less, stress is less. So it is giving less resistance to bending. Less resistance to bending. So if you want to break the scale, you don't keep like this and apply the load. You keep like this and apply the load. You can easily break this scale because stress developed will be more. So this is what I want to tell in this. So now sheet metal works. They use hollow rods for construction. But as far as column is concerned, they will use circular. But as far as in the roof, they use not square. They will use rectangular. Rectangular, that too. Depth is more, width is less. Depth is more. You can watch. You must have seen so many sheet metal works. In the sheet works, you see the column. In case of column, they will not use. Most of the case, they will not use. You can use a square. Square is okay, but circular is even better to take the vertical load. No, both are almost the same. Circular as well as square.